Hi everyone, this is the Game Design Raccoon. My name is Arthur, and on this channel I talk game design and game tinkering and fan-made content for Marvel Champions and other games. Today is Friday the 13th, so I decided to create a custom challenge scenario to spice up your Marvel Champions games. I'll talk about how I designed it and I'll give it to you for free at the end of the video here. The channel is fairly new, so don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, all things like this, comment, to encourage me doing more contents like this. Also, like a raccoon, I wear glasses to protect me from lights. Be quick. Okay, let's get to it. First, a bit about my ideation process and how I came up with the final design. I've opened a few tabs here, but it should be quick. First, I typed luck in Marvel CDB, and I came up with those results. Of course, it talks about Domino. I was really interested by the Domino Nemesis set. We'll go into it more in detail in a few seconds. Black Cat was also considered because Black Cats are known to bring back. Here is more about the Domino's Nemesis set. Minion is Topaz. Topaz, search the encounter deck, discard pile and set aside area for one copy of Superpower Feedback and attach it to your identity. Shuffle. Superpower Feedback is an attachment to your identity. After you resolve an ability on your identity or an identity-specific card, take 1 damage. And alter ego action, discard 1 identity-specific card from your hand, discard. You have 2 copies of it in the Domino's Nemesis set. Then you have the Not My Lucky Day side scheme. This is the card that gives its name to the challenge, but not necessarily the main card. At least in the final version, this is not the main effects, but still it's pretty interesting. Each player must either take 1 damage or place 2 threat here. Taking damage is bad because we have Prototype, which is a 1 health minion, but he gets +1 hit point for each luck counter on him, and he gains luck counters when he enters play equal to the amount of damage your identity has sustained. So if you have sustained 8 damage because you have 9 hit points and you had 1 hit point left, it would be 1 + 8 = 9 hit point minion. Now if you are Hulk and you have sustained 17 or more hit points, he will be 18 or more minion. At first I considered using only Domino for this challenge, so you would have to play Domino. Then I decided not to do that, to let you play around with the Domino's Nemesis set with another hero, which I found interesting, even though this is a bit fan-made-y, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of it, but hey, this is a great occasion to do that. After that, I looked for a villain to fight. Mysterio was the first one I checked. I liked the idea that he would discard cards and you would play Domino. This was my first idea. I was playing Domino against Mysterio. But in the end, yeah, I did not stay with Domino, so it didn't make sense to stay with Mysterio here. But this might be a next video. But this can make a next video, right? I saved the idea. Deja Vu or Deja Vu was really interesting because every time you reveal it, you choose to either take 1 damage or place 1 threat, and that 1 damage would have been really interesting with the Prototype minion. Next up, Mojo. Mojo is great because he has a mechanics where he discards cards from the top of the encounter set, and this feels really lucky when you do not take any threat on you. It feels lucky. Plus he has the Will of Genras, which has also a bit of a lucky feel to it. I really wanted to play more with it, but I couldn't find anything interesting. Plus I found the scenario to be a bit harsh when you actually use the Will. Then I went up with Sandman because it dishes out a lot of indirect damage thanks to the Hapless Pedestrian. Deal 3 indirect damage to the first player every time you place an acceleration token on the main scheme. Could have been great with Prototype, but not enough indirect damage for me, so I went with Juggernaut. Juggernaut actually has a lot of indirect damage, which was interesting, so you could adjust your level of health and summon a really buffy Prototype. Then I went with Spiral. Again, really interesting interesting, not because of their abilities, but because of the search for spiral, which states after the last threat is removed from here, the player who removed that threat reveals the top card of the show deck and places 3 per player's threat on it. Plus you can take 2 damage to remove 3 threat from here, which is very synergetic with the prototype thing I wanted to do. So yeah, at that point I wanted to do a campaign of 3 villains, linked by any ability, and maybe you would have to defeat prototype 3 or 2 times and gain enough points. Maybe you could transfer the luck points on him when you defeated him to your identity to regain luck, or to, I don't know, to the main scheme to accumulate luck points between scenarios, to have any bonuses at the next scenario. I don't know. I went a bit into it, but I found it was a bit too long and I just wanted to make 1 scenario, not 3. So yeah, I threw the idea away and I went for Spiral only, with the 3 mod sets, which are sci-fi, horror and western. All are minion oriented, if I remember correctly. I'm talking about the setting environments for each. Each enemy attacks gains overkill, this is a harsh one. Also, when the character takes damage, increase the damage by 1. Each minion gains quick strike. Each ally takes -1 consequential damage after attacking a minion. So. And each minion and ally gains toughness. So, 3 minion or attack oriented environment, plus the ability to take damage. I mean, you will take damage and you will make prototypes stronger at some point. Is it a good combo of rules? I don't know, but I just wanted to make a buffy prototype. I was thinking maybe you can just take damage, inflict damage to yourself to gain bonuses and to lower your hit points to make prototypes stronger, and then it would be an objective of the scenario to kill him with enough hit points or luck points to win the scenario instantly. At that point I was, yeah, at that point I was, yeah, if you kill him with, I don't know, 16 luck counters on him, you instantly win the scenario. That would be an alternate victory condition. Maybe this is not a good idea, it could conflict with a lot of other rules, so I went with the more straightforward path of just kill the villain, but you also have to kill prototype at some point. Finally, I changed my mind a little bit because I introduced the levels of difficulty, where I took off a bit of the scenario to make it a level 2, and the first level would be just win against Spiral. Then level 2 is something like win against Spiral but kill prototype, and level 3 is, well, all those cards that are really useful like Weapon X to take 1 damage are not allowed. So now let's look at the document I created. This is what you will get at the end of the video. Not my lucky day challenge scenario. To play this you need Mojo Mania and Next Evolution for Domino, obviously. Then the challenge itself. You seem out of luck today, as if something was siphoning it from you. Win the Spiral scenario even though this is not your lucky day. Great. You have an additional setup thing. Well, you set up Spiral as usual with Western, sci-fi and horror. Then you search your collection for the Domino's Nemesis set, and you just basically reveal a Shadow from the Past card. You put into play the Domino's Nemesis minion and Nemesis side game in front of the first player. You shuffle the rest in the uncut deck, including prototype. And finally, the first player chooses a player. That player starts the game with the Black Cat ally from Spider-Man in the core set into play. She is not necessary at all, I just wanted to add her for the theme, plus it compensates a little bit for the increased difficulty of the scenario, plus Spiral is pretty hard. I would recommend you play her in standard for now. Additional rules. This is how you make the scenario work. The main schemes gain when a setting environment is revealed from the top of the show deck. Add 1 luck counter to this main scheme. Then, if there are 3 or more counters on this card, say, well, not my lucky day, out loud. Find the Not My Lucky Day side scheme and reveal it. Then find a prototype minion, reveal him, and move all the luck counters from the main scheme to prototype, which should be 3. So now you have a 4 health minion at bare minimum if you are full health yourself, and it could go to a lot. Finally, the prototype minion gains 1 defeated if there are 11 or more luck counters on prototype. Remove him from the game instead of discarding him, which is important because, as a reminder, when a card asks you to find a card, you do not search through cards that have been removed from the game, so it will not come back this time. The idea here is that every time you do not find Spiral by thwarting down her side scheme, I wanted that not luck to accumulate somewhere. In other way, your luck just goes away to the main scheme, and when prototype enters place, it just get that luck, all that luck accumulated on the main scheme that went out from you to him, and then you have to just beat him. Then I introduce some levels of difficulty to spice things up. Each level is harder than the previous one. The level 1 is what I just showed you. Level 2 is the same thing, plus the last stage of the villain deck can only be defeated if prototype has been removed from the game. If not, the villain stays at 1 hit point and cannot be defeated until prototype is removed from the game. Level 3 is, well, level 1 and 2, plus the villain cannot gain Retaliate X, and players cannot play cards with a cost or effect resulting in taking damage or dealing damage to any identity, like you couldn't play Clarity of Purpose, Think Fast, X-23's Close, etc. You cannot play Deadpool at all, so you'd have to think more about what hero you would play. I'm not necessarily a fan of this one, I wouldn't play it for my fun, but I think people who would like a more difficult challenge could like this one more. Otherwise, I would stay with probably level 2. Level 2 is fine, I think. Yeah, this is the most interesting one. Level 2 is, well, it could have been level 1, but I wanted to offer the possibility to play this scenario without prototype being a thing. As a last point, remember you can still prevent damage dealt or inflicted to identities by playing protection events that reduce damage by 1, 2, 3, or hero events. There are a lot of hero events that does that. And that's it. Let me get back to the main camera. I hope you liked it. I hope you will play it. Just tell me what deck you went for against this challenge. How it went. What I could have done better. Anything to please the YouTube gods. And maybe tell me what you want me to do next. If you have good ideas for a scenario, I would be glad to do it. And maybe I'll do some gameplay at some point with one of your decks. Or mine. I don't know yet. Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell button, comment, like, subscribe again, I don't know, bye.